up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a good day. Got a big episode today, including the CPI data numbers were released today. What was the impact on Bitcoin's price, and what do I think the impact will be in the next coming weeks? I'll tell you that today. Plus, we got some wild news on the Axie Infinity hack that happened about 6 months ago. We got the details on exactly how the hack went down, and it was a very high level and pretty crazy, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at BenCryptoShow. Let's dive in. So inflation numbers came in at 9.1%. So the expectation was around 8.8 to 8.9%. So a little bit higher than expected, mostly on the prices of gas in June being much higher than normal. So let's see what the headlines, as I've said, it's less important than the actual number of inflation. It's what are the headlines, because then that's what drives the market. So Market Watch, U.S. stocks opened sharply lower after June's CPI data showed inflation was higher than expected. Okay, so yeah, not too shocking. That's good. That's sort of medium tone. USA Today, inflation data hits another 40-year high. What does that mean for shoppers in the next Fed rate hike? So again, not too overblown. That's good. And then the White House was playing it down. Inflation data already out of date. So the White House was anticipating that the market might have a stronger reaction. So some people did kind of accurately read into that the number was going to be higher than 8.8, 8.9%. That was correct, but they were saying basically that the data was just higher than it should have been, mostly because gas prices were exceptionally high in June, and those are expected to go down slightly, meaning inflation for the next month versus the 12-year month average should go down. We shall see. So what was the effect on prices? Well, here it is. So it pretty much played out exactly as I thought it would. Yesterday, I thought the market was going to be flat or kind of go up a little because there was the Tuesday pump effect. What's today, Wednesday? It's always the Tuesday pump effect, counteracted by jitters over the inflation data, which was going to be the next day today. So the market went up slightly, not too much, about 1-2%. Then here's right when the numbers hit. So again, they were worse than expected technically. So you're going to see a big price fall from 19,900 to around 19,000 even, almost instantaneously. So that's about, it's about a 5% drop right there. So as expected, then it took about an hour and a half to recover. Then it went up, and now it's kind of leveled out at around 19,000, about 400 now. So yeah, it's pretty much exactly as it expects. You always expect it's going to go down right when the announcement hits. Then the announcement's over. It's like it's a sigh of relief. Pressure's taken off of the market and starts trending up. But is it going to keep going up as it usually does, or is it going to stay sort of flat? Is it even going to go down because the numbers were high? Let's see. So Canada, this is important here. Canada announced right after we made our inflation rate announcement, they announced that they're raising their interest rates 1%, 100 basis points. They initially were going to raise it 75 basis points, but they like to mirror their announcements, their rate hikes based on the U.S., and they announced their rate hikes about 2 months before the U.S. typically. So them raising their rates by a little bit more than expected. It was last week it was going to be 75 basis points, and then they surprised everyone went 100 basis points. That shows that the U.S. in 2 weeks, when they have their interest rate announcement hike, it might be a little higher than expected because of Canada's activity. So previously it was supposed to be, there was a 97% chance on the betting lines that it was going to be a 75 basis point hike. Today I read earlier somewhere the stats have changed. Now it's a 57% chance of a 100 basis point hike. So it went from 97% chance 75 basis point hike down to a 43% chance of a 75 basis point hike just off the announcement of inflation being a little bit higher than normal. So, but again, the number doesn't really matter, 1%, 0.75%. It's just that the announcement isn't a shock when it happens. So as I've said before, the big day is 2 weeks, 26, so Tuesday of 2 weeks, July 26th. And that's the interest rate hike announcement for the U.S. here. And that always has a slightly bigger effect than the CPI data. The CPI data has a slight effect, as it did today. The interest rate hike has a bigger effect. So we're not out of the woods yet. The next 2 weeks is going to be crucial, but then if we can get through this rate hike without any nuke event or anything like that, then you can expect the markets to start trending up, because then the next interest rate hike and CPI data won't be for another 6-7 weeks. So it'll be like a big sigh of relief. So we're not out of the woods yet. We've got 2 more weeks. Greed and fear expectedly went down 15. It was at 22 to 24 earlier in the week. And again, CPI numbers were a little higher than expected. So greed and fear down 15. Expected. So let's move on here. So anyway, so what I think the price is going to do until the next until the rate hike in 2 weeks, probably remain flat. It might even trend down a little bit, just because now the interest rate hike is going to be a little bit more than expected. Wouldn't expect it to go up the way I thought it might have yesterday. Flat, maybe a slight downturn, but I definitely don't expect any nuke events or any just huge market rallies until the interest rate hike announcement is done with. Moving on, this is a big story. So this came out last week. It didn't really get too much coverage, surprisingly. It got lost, and finally today and yesterday, a bunch of people, news outlets picked it up. Very interesting. So we all know the Axie Infinity Ronin hack, $600 million. Back in November, it was a very high-level attack. Everyone knows that. It is the North Koreans who did it. We know that. No one really knew the exact point of attack method. It was believed to be perhaps a company pretending to be a partner company. It might have sent like a white paper attachment that contained some malware that allowed them to fish through whoever opened it, their computer and look for passwords, wallet passwords, stuff like that. Some people thought it might have been somebody applying for a job at Axie Infinity or Ronin, and then they sent their resume in, and opening that attachment is what unleashed the malware. It was along those lines, so we know what it was. I guess it was on LinkedIn. I guess somebody, a North Korean hacker, was pretending to be, he reached out to several employees of Axie Infinity. He was pretending to be a new coin company, and he wanted to interview all of them for jobs at his new coin company. So all the employees didn't fall for it. I guess one person did. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, whoever this person was, but not only did he start communicating with the hacker, he sent a resume. He went through, quote, multiple rounds of interviews. I mean, you'd think after one interview, maybe when the guy on the other end probably isn't going to be totally on top of his game, or maybe he'll have the camera off, which is what a North Korean hacker did. In another interview, you'd think there might be some red flags. No, apparently this guy just wanted to get a new job so badly, he went through multiple rounds of interviews, presumably on the Axie Infinity computers, or we know that he definitely at least opened this attachment here. So I guess so they went through multiple rounds of interviews. Then the hacker guy said, okay, we're giving you a job offer. Then he sent him a fake offer attachment in the form of a PDF document. So not a .exe file, a PDF document. That's what unleashed the spyware. It basically just took over the Ronin computers, searched for passwords or anything like that. So it sounds like pretty high-level spyware and malware to me. And it was able to get the passwords to take over 4 out of 9 validators on the Ronin network, which basically allows them to just kind of approve transactions on the Ronin network. And that spyware also allowed them to get the password to the Ronin wallets. So this was an incredibly high-level attack here. Only the one employee fell for it, but Axie sounds understandably pissed at the employee. They say he no longer works with the company. That's it. He was presumably fired, as I would fire the guy immediately. I mean, multiple rounds of interviews and no red flags go up. You still go through with it all the way to the end. Opening the attachments, it was that one sort of LinkedIn phishing attempt that sunk Axie, but they have made sort of a comeback lately. Moving on. Coinbase, banning slide decks and endless meetings. So they laid off 18% of the company, as we all know, due to the market downturn, lots of layoffs. Now they're cutting down on meetings. As we know, crypto is not really a huge meeting industry. A little bit of that's necessary, but it just moves so fast. You can't just be boggled down with sort of slow-moving meetings the way a lot of industries are like. They're also banning slide decks from from meetings or anything. I can sort of see my slide decks, it's just basically just copying and pasting web pages, so it's quick, doesn't take too long. But a slide deck for some sort of company presentation on a product rollout or something, you're going to spend so much time just on the designs and the aesthetic appeal, making it look perfect. It's just not an efficient use of time. So I can sort of see where Brian Armstrong is coming from here. So cutting down on the meetings. no pitch decks whatsoever, just a verbal presentation on whatever the meeting is supposed to be about, the new product rollouts or whatever. So that's good. So they're looking for ways to basically just streamline and have the same level of efficiency with 18% less employees. New York judge freezes assets of 3 Arrows Capital as crypto firms remain underground. So I've covered this a lot lately. A federal judge in New York has frozen the remaining assets. The firm, they managed $10 billion, we believe, in November at the peak. And then in an April audit, they were confirmed to manage $3 billion in assets. So it was down from $10 million just because of the market downturn. And then now they're basically down to zero. I honestly, I'd be surprised if the creditors get anything out of these guys. Whereas Voyager, Celsius, BlockFi, there actually were a decent amount of assets that have been recoverable. 3AC is the one that it just seems like there's going to be absolutely none. As I covered yesterday, there was sort of a blame game between the 3AC founders and the creditors. There was some sort of redemption on a token sale that's the fund could have recouped some assets. They needed to redeem their tokens. It was probably something in the low 1 millions or something, and there was a deadline to redeem the tokens last week or the week before. 3AC founders, they're like, well, we're not running our fund anymore, so it's not our job, so they didn't redeem the tokens. Then the liquidators, creditors, well, they don't really know how to redeem the tokens, so they didn't redeem the tokens, and the tokens just weren't redeemed. So no one's getting the money there, probably in the low millions, I'd say. None of the creditors are going to claim that, so yeah, I'd be surprised if they get pretty much anything. It seems like that fund is just completely nuked, down almost zero. SEC delays decision on ARK 21 shares spot Bitcoin ETFs. This is actually a positive development. As you remember, a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, they totally rejected the Grayscale spot ETF. So the two leaders for it's been ARK and then Grayscale. Those are the two companies most people think have the highest chance of being approved by the SEC for a U.S. spot BTF, which is important because even if you don't trade in it, that is the kind of event that's going to generate some positive momentum for the market, and that could spark the next bull run. So the fact they only delayed the decision here and not outright reject, that's a positive development. They delayed it until August 30th. So that's a point everyone needs to mark on the calendars, because of course they could delay it again there, but if the market's in better condition and there's a high chance of that actually being approved, then that would be a huge positive momentum price catalyst for a bull run. So August 30th, everyone remember that date there. RadioShack, continuing their decentralized exchange sort of growth and domination. They listed Fitcoin, so they seem to be kind of listing a lot of small altcoins. They listed Drip2, where is that? They listed Drip Token here. It's a shop to earn coin. Fitcoin, this is sort of like a step in, move to earn coins. So they're going for the small altcoins that have sort of a base following, not totally unknown early stages, but in the general early stages, but not the very, very beginning stages. So as we all know, their Twitter campaign is hugely successful, kind of surprising for, almost 400,000 followers. It seems that some people, it's sort of a breath of fresh air to have, some of the Twitter posts and crypto Twitter, they're not the usual, like, oh, you'll be a millionaire one day, what altcoins should we list, millionaires are made in the bear market, whatever you want to call those. Typical standard post. RadioShack is just sort of a unique sort of breath of fresh air from all that stuff. So they've caught on huge. That doesn't mean their decentralized exchange is going to be successful. It's actually pretty easy to start a decentralized exchange. It really doesn't cost that much money getting people to trade on and use it. That's the hard part there. But they've listed several tokens now, and two small credential tokens in the last week. That's pretty impressive. So congrats to them. It's a company doing pretty well in the bear market here. That's it for today. Be back tomorrow with a new episode. Hope you like this one. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @BenCryptoShow right here. Ben Crypto signing out. Catch you later.